Captain Jiho Park stood at the window of his ship, watching the stars outside Kepler Station. The space station was huge, with metal arms reaching out like a giant spider. Ships from dozens of worlds came and went every day. Some looked like crystals that could fly. Others were round like bubbles. A few were so strange that Jiho could not even guess how they worked. His ship, the New Soul, was small compared to most alien vessels. It was built for speed and long trips, not for showing off. The Earth flag painted on its side looked tiny next to the fancy symbols of other worlds. Dr. Mina Lee walked up behind him. Her face looked worried. She held a datapad in her hands, and her fingers were shaking a little. "Captain, we got the message from the council," she said. Her voice was quiet, like she was afraid someone might hear. Jiho turned around. Mina was young for a doctor, only 35 years old, but she knew more about alien cultures than anyone else on Earth. She could speak 12 different alien languages. She understood their customs and their ways of thinking. If Mina looked worried, then things were very bad. "What did they say?" Jiho asked. Mina handed him the datapad. The message was short, but every word hit like a punch. The Galactic Council had voted to cut off all trade with Earth. No more buying or selling, no more shared technology, no more working together on science projects. Earth was out. The vote was 847 to 1. Only one world had voted to keep Earth in the council. The others all wanted humans gone. 847, Jiho said slowly. "That's almost everyone." "The Valari led the vote," Mina said. "They said humans are too violent, too dangerous. They think we will start wars between peaceful species." Jiho laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. "Violent? We stopped 3 wars in the last 10 years. We helped the Zephyrians and the Mokari become friends. We taught the Rigel colonies how to share water instead of fighting over it." "I know," Mina said. "That's what makes this so strange. Why would they kick us out for making peace?" Before Jiho could answer, his communication system made a beeping sound. A face appeared on the screen. It was Admiral Taehyung Kim, the head of Earth's space military. The admiral looked older than his 50 years. His hair was gray, and there were deep lines around his eyes. "Captain Park," the admiral said. "I suppose you got the news." "Yes, sir. We're reading the message now." "Good. I want you to come home. Immediately. Bring all our people with you." Jiho felt confused. "Sir, shouldn't we try to fight this? Maybe we can change their minds." Admiral Kim shook his head. "No, Captain. We're done trying to make them happy. Get our people and come home." "That's an order." The screen went dark. Jiho looked at Mina. She was staring at the datapad again, reading the message over and over. "There's something else," she said. "I've been studying the vote records. Look at which worlds voted against us." She showed him a list of names. Jiho recognized most of them. These were worlds that humans had helped. The Corvin system, where human doctors had stopped a plague. The Altair colonies, where human engineers had fixed their broken atmosphere machines. The Tau Ceti worlds, where human diplomats had ended a civil war. "They all voted to kick us out," Jiho said. "Even the ones we saved." "Someone scared them," Mina said. "Or someone made them an offer they couldn't refuse." Jiho walked back to the window. Outside, he could see alien ships loading and unloading cargo. For 50 years, human ships had been part of this scene. Human traders brought new ideas and strange foods from Earth. Human scientists shared discoveries that helped everyone. Human artists made music and stories that aliens loved. Now it was over. His door opened and 3 more crew members came in. There was Engineer Woo Jin Nam, a quiet man who could fix anything. Communications Officer Yuna Jang, who was the best pilot Jiho had ever seen. And Security Chief Kyung-min Yu, who looked angry enough to punch something. "Captain, what's our status?" Yuna asked. "We're leaving," Jiho said. "Get everyone ready to go." "What about our research projects?" Woo Jin asked. "I was working with the Centauri scientists on new engine designs." "Cancelled," Jiho said. "All of it." Kyung-min made a fist. "This is wrong. We never did anything to hurt them. We only tried to help." "Maybe that was the problem," Mina said quietly. Everyone looked at her. "Think about it. For thousands of years, the Council has kept peace by making sure no one gets too powerful. They keep species fighting with each other so no one can challenge them. But we changed that. We made enemies into friends. We showed other species that they don't need the Council to solve their problems. Jiho understood now. We were too good at making peace. Exactly. And that made us dangerous to the people who rule the galaxy. They spent the next 6 hours gathering all the humans on Kepler Station. There were not many. A few traders, some scientists, one family of tourists who had saved for years to see other worlds. All of them looked shocked and hurt when they heard the news. An old trader named Mr. Bay started crying. "I've been working with the Rigelians for 20 years, he said. They're like family to me. Now I can never see them again." A young scientist named Dr. Choi was angry. "I was about to discover something important. A new way to make medicine. It could have helped billions of people. Now I have to stop." Jiho wished he could give them hope, but he didn't have any answers. As the new soul prepared to leave Kepler Station, Jiho got one more message. This one was from Counselor Hyejin Choi, Earth's representative to the Galactic Council. She was the one person who had voted to keep Earth in the Council. Her face on the screen looked tired and sad. "Captain Park, I want you to know that I tried everything. I spoke for 18 hours straight, explaining all the good things humans have done. But they wouldn't listen. Their minds were already made up." "What happens now?" Jiho asked. "I'm giving one last speech to the Council tomorrow. Then I'm coming home too." She paused. "Tell Admiral Kim that I'll support whatever decision Earth makes next. We tried to work with them. They chose to push us away." The communication ended. Jiho looked around the bridge of his ship. His crew was working quietly, preparing for the long trip home. Outside the window, Kepler Station was getting smaller as they moved away. In a few hours, they would enter the hyperspace lanes that would take them back to Earth. For the last time, they would use the space roads that the Galactic Council controlled. After this trip, humans would not be welcome in Council space anymore. Jiho thought about the message that Admiral Kim would send to Earth's leaders. He thought about the decisions they would have to make. What would humanity do now that they were alone again? But maybe they wouldn't be alone for long. Mina was right about one thing. Humans were good at making friends. Even if the Council didn't want them anymore, there might be other species who did. Species who were tired of being controlled and told what to do. As the new soul jumped into hyperspace, Jiho made a decision. This wasn't the end of humanity's story in space. It was just the beginning of a new chapter. And maybe, just maybe, this new chapter would be better than the old one. The stars stretched into lines of light around them as they headed home to Earth, carrying news that would change everything. 6 months had passed since the Galactic Council kicked Earth out. The news had hit humanity like a giant wave, making everyone angry and sad at the same time. But humans were good at one thing. When someone pushed them down, they found a way to get back up. Engineer Woo Jin Nam stood in a secret laboratory deep under the mountains of South Korea. The room was filled with machines that hummed and sparked with blue light. For months, he had been working on something that would change everything. Something the aliens didn't know humans could build. "Are you sure this will work?" asked Dr. Mina Lee. She had come down to see Woo Jin's project. After returning from Kepler Station, she had been studying all the alien technology that humans had collected over 50 years. She was looking for weaknesses, ways to be free from alien control. Woo Jin smiled and patted a large metal ring that stood in the center of the room. "This is a quantum fold drive. It doesn't use the hyperspace lanes that the Council controls. It makes its own path through space." "How fast?" Mina asked. 3 times faster than Council ships," Woo Jin said proudly. "And they can't track us or stop us." Mina's eyes went wide. For 50 years, humans had been using alien technology to travel between stars. The aliens controlled all the space roads. They decided who could go where and when. But if humans had their own way to travel, they would be free. "How many ships can we build?" she asked. "We're already building 50, Woo Jin said. "Admiral, Kim wants a whole fleet ready before we tell anyone about this." On the other side of Earth, Captain Yuna Jang was getting ready for the most important mission of her life. She stood in front of a new ship called the Explorer. It was bigger than the new Soul and built with the best technology humans had. Most importantly, it had one of Wu Jin's new quantum fold drives. Admiral Taehyung Kim came to see her off. "Remember, Captain Jang, you're going where no human has gone before. The Council has always told us that some parts of space are too dangerous to visit. They call them forbidden zones. I want to know why." Yuna nodded. "What if we find something bad out there? Then we deal with it," the Admiral said. "But I think we're going to find something very different from what the aliens told us." The Explorer lifted off from Earth and activated its new drive. The ship disappeared in a flash of silver light, jumping through space in a way that no alien ship could follow. When the light faded, Yuna found herself looking at something amazing. Instead of empty, dangerous space, she saw a solar system full of beautiful planets. One world was covered in green forests and blue oceans. Another had floating cities made of crystal. A third had rings of ice that sparkled like diamonds. "This doesn't look forbidden to me," said her science officer, Dr. Kyungmin Yu. "It looks like paradise." They flew closer to the forest planet and found something even more surprising. There were ruins on the surface, not alien ruins from any species they knew, but something much older. The buildings were made of metal that still shined after thousands of years. Gardens full of strange plants grew between the structures. "Captain," said Dr. Yu, "I'm reading energy signatures from those ruins. Something down there is still working." Yuna made a decision that would change human history. "Take us down. Let's see what the Council didn't want us to find." They landed near the largest building. It was shaped like a pyramid, but with curves instead of straight lines. As soon as Yuna stepped outside, she felt something strange. The air seemed to whisper to her, welcoming her home. Dr. Yu ran his scanner over the building. "Captain, this is incredible. The technology here is thousands of years more advanced than anything the Council has, and it's responding to our presence." "What do you mean, responding?" Before Dr. Yu could answer, the pyramid began to glow. Lights ran up its sides like water flowing upward. A door opened that had been sealed for ages, and from inside came a sound like music, calling them forward. Back on Earth, other things were happening. Humans who had been living in Council space were coming home. They brought stories that made everyone angry. A traitor named Mr. Seo told Admiral Kim about new rules the Council had made. "Any alien caught helping a human gets punished. Any world that trades with Earth loses Council protection. They're trying to make sure we stay completely alone." A scientist named Dr. Park had an even worse story. "They're rewriting history, Admiral. They're telling young aliens that humans were always violent and dangerous. They're saying we started all the wars. We actually stopped." But the most shocking story came from diplomat Hyunwoo Jung, who had worked with the Council for 15 years. "Admiral, I think the Council is afraid of something. Really afraid. Some of the older alien leaders look scared when they talk about humans. Not angry, scared." Admiral Kim listened to all these stories. Then he made a decision. "We're not going to hide anymore. We're not going to beg them to take us back. We're going to build something better." Meanwhile, Captain Yuna and her team were exploring the pyramid on the mysterious planet. Inside, they found rooms full of technology that still worked after thousands of years. The walls showed pictures of beings that looked almost human, but taller and with silver skin. "These people built all this," Dr. Yu said, pointing at the pictures. "But where did they go?" They found their answer in the deepest room of the pyramid. It was filled with memory crystals that told a story. The silver beings called themselves the Architects. They had built a great civilization based on peace and sharing knowledge. They helped younger species grow and learn. But then something terrible happened. Other species became jealous of the Architects' success. These jealous species formed a council and decided that the Architects were too powerful. They attacked without warning, destroying world after world. The last message from the Architects was a warning. "We leave this knowledge for those who come after us. Beware the Council. They will destroy anyone who threatens their power." "The Galactic Council," Yuna whispered. "They're the ones who destroyed the Architects." Dr. Yu was studying another crystal. "Captain, there's more." The architects left something behind, a network of hidden technology all across the galaxy. It's been waiting for someone worthy to find it. How do we know if we're worthy? As if answering her question, the room filled with gentle light. The technology recognized something in humans that reminded it of the architects. Maybe it was their desire to help others. Maybe it was their refusal to give up when things got hard. Or maybe it was their ability to make friends with anyone. The pyramid's main computer came online and spoke in a voice like singing. Welcome, inheritors. We have been waiting for you. Back on Earth, Admiral Kim received Captain Yuna's report. The message was simple but exciting. We found it, Admiral. We found why the Council was really afraid of us. Within hours, Admiral Kim was meeting with Earth's leaders. President So-Young-ko listened to the report with growing amazement. So the Council has been lying to us for 50 years, she said. They're not the peaceful leaders they pretend to be. They're conquerors who destroyed an entire civilization. And they're afraid we might do the same thing the architects did, Admiral Kim added. Unite the galaxy against them. President Ko stood up and walked to her window. Outside, she could see spaceships being built in Earth's orbital shipyards. Ships with new technology that would let humans travel anywhere they wanted. Then let's give them something to really be afraid of, she said. But not the way they expect. We're not going to conquer anyone. We're going to do something much worse. What's that? Admiral Kim asked. President Ko smiled. We're going to set everyone free. Captain Yuna's ship, the Explorer, was not alone anymore. 5 more human ships had joined her in the Forbidden Zone. They were setting up a base on the Architect world, which they named New Busan. The planet's ancient technology was helping them build faster than anyone thought possible. But they weren't the only ones interested in the strange energy signals coming from the dead world. Far away, Council ships were heading toward the Forbidden Zone. They had questions about what the humans were doing out there, and they weren't going to like the answers they found. Researcher Dohan Seo had always been good with machines, but the architect technology was like nothing he had ever seen. It seemed to understand what he wanted before he even asked. When he needed a tool, the walls would grow one for him. When he had a question, the ancient computers would show him the answer. It's like the machines are alive, he told Captain Yuna Jang over their communication system. They learn from us, and we learn from them. Yuna was standing on the bridge of her ship, watching her crew work with architect technology to build New Busan's defenses. In just 2 months, they had built a city that would have taken years to construct with normal human technology. Any word from the other exploration teams? She asked. Good news, Dohan said. Captain Minji-Oh found another architect world in the Vega system, and the team near Rigel discovered what looks like an ancient shipyard. The architects left technology everywhere. But Yuna's celebration was cut short when her sensor officer called out a warning. Captain, I'm detecting ships approaching, lots of them. On the main screen, Yuna could see 40 alien warships coming toward New Busan. They were big and heavily armed. In the lead was a council battleship with the symbol of the Thornak Empire painted on its hull. This is Admiral Kretar of the Galactic Council, came a voice over the radio. You humans are in forbidden space. Leave immediately or face the consequences. Yuna looked at her crew. They were brave, but their ships were not built for fighting. The Council fleet could destroy them easily. This is Captain Yuna Jang of Earth, she replied. We're not in Council space anymore. You have no authority here. All space belongs to the Council, Admiral Kretar said. You will surrender and come with us for questioning. Before Yuna could answer, something amazing happened. The planet below them began to glow. Ancient machines that had been sleeping for thousands of years suddenly came to life. Energy shields appeared around New Busan, protecting the human ships. But that wasn't all. From hidden bases across the planet, architect defense platforms rose into the sky. They looked like silver spears made of light. In seconds, they surrounded the Council fleet. Admiral Kretar's confident voice became worried. What is this? What have you done? The architect computer spoke directly to both fleets. Its voice was calm but firm. This world is under protection. Those who come in peace are welcome. Those who come with violence will be turned away. Impossible, Admiral Kretar said. The architects have been dead for thousands of years. We are the architects' inheritors, Yuna said, and we're not going anywhere. Admiral Kretar made a mistake. Instead of leaving, he ordered his ships to attack. Fire on the humans! Destroy them all! The Council ships opened fire with plasma, cannons, and missile launchers. But their weapons couldn't get through the energy shields. Every shot was absorbed or bounced away harmlessly. Then the architect defense platforms responded. They didn't use explosive weapons or deadly rays. Instead, they sent out energy pulses that shut down the Council ships' engines and weapons. In minutes, 40 warships were floating helplessly in space. This is impossible, Admiral Kretar said again. Our technology is the most advanced in the galaxy. No, said the architect computer. Your technology is stolen from us, and a copy is never as good as the original. Captain Minji O, who had arrived with reinforcements, contacted the disabled Council fleet. Admiral, your ships are damaged, but your crews are safe. We'll help you repair them if you promise to leave peacefully. Some of the Council captains wanted to accept the offer, but Admiral Kretar was too proud. We don't need help from primitive humans, he said. Then you can drift here until your life support runs out, Minji replied. It took 3 days, but finally Admiral Kretar agreed to accept human help. As Earth engineers worked to repair the Council ships, something unexpected happened. The alien crews began talking to their human helpers. A young Thornic engineer named Zethvar spoke to Dohan Seo as they worked on a damaged engine. Is it true that humans can fix anything? We try our best, Dohan said. Why? My homeworld has a problem with our water system. Council engineers say it can't be fixed, but maybe... Dohan smiled. Tell me about it. By the time the Council ships were repaired, word had spread through their crews about human kindness and skill. Some of the aliens started asking questions about life outside the Council's control. But Admiral Kretar wasn't interested in friendship. As soon as his ship could move, he headed back to Council space with news of humanity's impossible technology. The report he gave to the Council caused panic. For the first time in thousands of years, someone had technology that was better than theirs. Someone had found the architect's hidden legacy. Emergency meetings were called. Ancient alien leaders who hadn't spoken in public for centuries came out of hiding. They remembered the truth about the architects, and they were terrified that history might repeat itself, but their fear led them to make another mistake. Instead of trying to make peace with humanity, they decided to spread lies and hatred. Across Council space, propaganda broadcasts told aliens that humans were dangerous monsters who wanted to conquer the galaxy. They said that human friendship was just a trick to make species weak before invasion. Some aliens believed these lies, but others remembered the humans they had worked with. They remembered human doctors who had saved alien lives. They remembered human teachers who had shared knowledge freely. They remembered human diplomats who had stopped wars. On the mining world of Kepler-7, a group of Rigelian workers were discussing the broadcasts. They say humans are evil, said one worker. But I worked with humans for 5 years. They were the kindest beings I ever met. My daughter was saved by a human doctor, said another. When she was dying from the red fever, no alien doctor could help her, but Dr. Kim from Earth found a cure. An old Rigelian named Vorth spoke up. I was there when the humans helped us make peace with the Mokari. They didn't ask for anything in return. They just wanted the fighting to stop. Similar conversations were happening on dozens of worlds. The Council's propaganda was working on some aliens, but it was also reminding others of how good humans could be. Meanwhile, diplomat Hyun Woo Jung was not sitting idle on Earth. He had been secretly talking to aliens who were unhappy with Council rule. Using hidden communication channels, he was building a network of species who wanted freedom. The humans are not your enemies, he told a group of Centauri rebels. The Council is afraid because they know their time is ending. Join us, and we can build something better together. The Centauri leader, a wise female named Sal Nara, was interested. What can you offer us that the Council cannot? Freedom, Hyunwoo said simply. The right to make your own choices. The right to trade with whoever you want. The right to live without fear. Word of these secret talks reached the council, making them even more paranoid. They began increasing security and putting more restrictions on their member worlds, but this only made more species angry and rebellious. Back on New Busan, Captain Yuna was studying reports from across the galaxy. Everywhere, the same pattern was emerging. The Council's attempts to turn aliens against humans were backfiring. Instead of creating fear, they were creating curiosity. "They're making our job easier," she told Do Hanseo. "Every lie they tell just makes more aliens want to meet us and see the truth for themselves." Dohan nodded. "The architect computer told me something interesting yesterday. It said that the original Galactic Council used the same tactics against the architects. Fear and lies. But in the end, truth always wins." As if hearing his words, the architect computer spoke. "The network is awakening. On 17 worlds, sleeping technology responds to approaching inheritors. The time of waiting is ending." Yuna understood. The architect technology wasn't just on New Busan. It was scattered across the galaxy, waiting for the right people to find it. And those people weren't just humans anymore. They were any beings who believed in freedom and cooperation. The Council had kicked Earth out to keep the galaxy under their control. But they had actually set in motion the very thing they feared most, the awakening of a force that could challenge their power. And this time, that force wouldn't just be one species. It would be an alliance of all the species that were tired of being controlled, lied to, and kept from reaching their full potential. The real war was just beginning. But it wouldn't be fought with weapons and armies. It would be fought with ideas, friendship, and the simple truth that freedom was better than fear. General Byung-hun Lim had fought in 3 wars during his military career, but he had never seen anything like what was happening across the galaxy. His command center on Earth was filled with screens showing rebellions on dozens of worlds. Species that had been quiet for centuries were suddenly rising up against council rule. "General," called out his intelligence officer, Lieutenant Sung-Jin Rao, "we're getting reports from the Altair system. The local government has declared independence from the council. They're asking for human protection." "What about the Vega colonies?" General Lim asked. "Same thing, sir. And the Rigel mining worlds. And 3 systems in the Centauri sector." Lieutenant Ryu looked amazed. "It's like the whole galaxy is waking up at once." General Lim studied the star map on his wall. Red dots showed council-controlled systems. Blue dots showed worlds that had declared independence. Green dots showed systems where humans were providing aid and protection. In just 6 months, almost a quarter of the galaxy had changed color. "How many liberation ships do we have ready?" he asked. 57, sir," said his aide, Captain Ji Hye-an. "Each one equipped with architect defense technology and medical facilities." The liberation ships were a new idea. Instead of warships designed to destroy, they were built to protect and help. They could create energy shields around entire planets. They carried doctors, engineers, and teachers who could help newly independent worlds build better lives. "Send 12 ships to Altair," General Lim ordered. 8 to Vega. The rest will form rapid response teams for emergency calls. As his officers hurried to carry out orders, General Lim thought about how much had changed. A year ago, Earth had been kicked out of the Galactic Council in disgrace. Now, they were leading the biggest freedom movement in galactic history. It all started when the first alien refugees arrived at New Busan. They were Centauri scientists who had been punished for talking to humans. Captain Minji-Oh had rescued them when Council security forces tried to arrest them. "Please," the lead scientist had begged. "We only wanted to learn. We only wanted to share knowledge. Why is that wrong?" Captain Minji had given them sanctuary on New Busan. The architect technology had recognized their good intentions and helped them build a research station. Within weeks, they had made discoveries that would help their entire species. Word spread quickly. Other aliens began arriving, seeking freedom and protection. Traders who were tired of council restrictions. Artists who wanted to create without censorship. Engineers who wanted to build new things instead of just maintaining old council technology. Each group that arrived brought new skills and new perspectives. The humans learned as much as they taught. New Busan became a melting pot of ideas and cultures, growing stronger every day. But the real change happened when scientist Ji Hye-an made a breakthrough. She had been studying how architect technology worked, trying to understand why it responded so well to humans and their allies. "It's not about species," she explained to General Lim during a video call. "It's about mindset. The technology responds to beings who want to help others, who value cooperation over domination. That's why it doesn't work for the Council, even though they have architect artifacts. This discovery changed everything. It meant that any species could use architect technology as long as they had the right attitude. The humans began sharing this knowledge with their new allies, and the results were amazing. On Rigel Prime, miners used architect tools to safely extract valuable crystals without damaging their environment. On Centauri Alpha, farmers used ancient knowledge to grow food in barren soil. On Vega Station, engineers built new ships that could travel faster and safer than anything the Council had. The Council watched these developments with growing alarm. They had always maintained power by controlling technology and keeping species dependent on them. Now, entire worlds were becoming self-sufficient and prosperous without Council help. Their response was predictable but desperate. Council fleets began attacking independent worlds, trying to force them back into submission, but they faced a problem they had never encountered before. Every independent world now had human protection, and human ships, enhanced with architect technology, were nearly invincible in battle. More importantly, the humans had allies who fought alongside them with equal skill and determination. The first major battle happened at Tau Ceti, where a Council fleet tried to retake a mining world that had declared independence. General Lim watched the battle through live feeds from the Liberation. "Ships. 12 Council battleships against 4 human vessels," reported Captain Seungjin Ryu, who was commanding the defense. "They think they have us outnumbered." But Captain Ryu had help. 2 Rigelian cruisers and a Centauri science vessel had joined the defense. Together, they formed a perfect example of the new alliance. The battle was over quickly. The Liberation ship's energy shields protected the planet while their allies used superior tactics to disable the Council fleet. Not a single being was killed on either side. The Council crews were taken prisoner and treated well. "This is Captain Ryu to the Council Admiral," Songjin said over the radio. "Your crews are safe and will be returned to Council space, but your ships will stay here as payment for the damage you've caused." The captured Council ships were studied by human and alien engineers working together. They found that Council technology was indeed based on stolen architect designs, but it was crude and inefficient. The Council had never understood the true principles behind what they had stolen. News of the battle spread across the galaxy. More worlds declared independence. More species asked for human protection. The movement grew so fast that General Lim could barely keep track of it all. But the most important moment came when Ambassador Yunji Shin received a secret message from an unexpected source. It was from the Thornak Empire, one of the Council's founding members. The message was brief but shocking. "We wish to discuss terms for peaceful separation from the Galactic Council. Our economy is collapsing without human trade. Our people are beginning to question our leadership. We need to talk." General Lim couldn't believe it. The Thornak Empire had been humanity's greatest enemy in the Council. They had led the vote to kick Earth out. Their ships had attacked New Busan. Now they wanted to surrender. "It's happening faster than we planned," he told Admiral Tae-hyung Kim during their daily briefing. "The Council is falling apart from the inside." Admiral Kim nodded. "The question is, what do we do when it completely collapses? We can't just let the galaxy fall into chaos." General Lim had been thinking about this problem for weeks. "We need to be ready with an alternative, something better than the Council, but organized enough to keep the peace." The answer came from an unexpected source. On New Busan, the various alien refugees had formed their own government. It was based on cooperation and mutual respect, with representatives from each species, working together to solve problems. Dr. Mina Lee, who had been studying their system, sent a report to Earth. "They've created something new," she wrote. "A truly democratic federation where everyone has a voice, regardless of their species' size or power. It's what the Galactic Council pretended to be, but never was." President So Young-ko read the report. With growing excitement, this was the solution they needed. Not a human empire to replace the Council, but a true federation where all species could participate as equals. She immediately began planning a galaxy-wide conference. Representatives from every independent world would be invited to discuss creating a new government. It would be voluntary, democratic, and based on the principles that had made New Busan successful. Meanwhile, the liberation ships continued their work. Captain Sungjin Ryu had become famous across the galaxy for his rescue missions. His ship, the Freedom's Light, had saved refugees from 12 different worlds. "Every being we save becomes an advocate for our cause," he told his crew. "Every act of kindness creates 10 new allies." The Council tried to counter with propaganda, claiming that humans were just clever conquerors who used kindness as a weapon. But these lies became harder to believe when people could see human actions for themselves. On Kepler 7, human doctors worked alongside Rigelian healers to stop a plague. On Vega Prime, human engineers helped rebuild cities damaged by Council bombardment. On Centauri Beta, human teachers shared knowledge freely with alien students. The galaxy was changing, and everyone could see it. Hope was replacing fear. Cooperation was replacing competition. Freedom was replacing control. But the old Council wasn't finished yet. In their desperation, they were preparing one final terrible move. If they couldn't rule the galaxy, they were ready to destroy parts of it rather than let others have it. The real test of the human-led alliance was still to come. President Soyoung Ko stood before the largest gathering in galactic history. Representatives from over 300 worlds filled the great hall that had been built on New Busan. Humans sat next to Rigelians. Centauri delegates talked quietly, with former Council species. Even some Thornak nobles were present, having broken away from their empire to join the growing freedom movement. 3 years ago, President Ko began, the Galactic Council told us we were not welcome in their galaxy. They said we were too dangerous, too violent, too different to be trusted. A ripple of anger went through the crowd. Many of these beings had suffered under Council rule for centuries. They were right about one thing, President Ko continued. We are dangerous. We are dangerous to tyrants who want to control others. We are dangerous to liars who profit from fear. We are dangerous to anyone who believes that some beings are worth more than others. The crowd erupted in cheers. Admiral Changmin Bayek, who was in charge of security for the conference, smiled as he watched former enemies applauding together. It had taken 2 years to reach this moment. 2 years of battles, negotiations, and careful planning. The old Galactic Council had not given up easily. Their final desperate move had come 6 months ago. Unable to defeat the growing alliance through military force, they had tried to destroy several independent worlds using ancient weapons they had hidden for emergencies. The attack on Rigel Prime was meant to be an example to other worlds considering independence. Council ships had appeared without warning and begun bombing civilian targets. Millions of innocent beings were in danger. But the Alliance had been ready. Admiral Changmin Bayek had positioned rescue fleets throughout the sector. When the attack began, human liberation ships had immediately jumped to Rigel Prime's defense. The battle had been fierce but short. Council weapons were powerful, but Architect technology was better. The energy shields held, protecting the planet's surface while Alliance ships disabled the attackers. More importantly, the attack had backfired completely. Seeing the Council willing to murder innocent civilians had shocked many of their remaining supporters. Within days, 12 more Council worlds had declared independence. The Thornak Empire had been the first major power to officially leave the Council. Their representative, Admiral Vectar, stood up now to address the conference. For 2,000 years, my people believed that strength meant domination, he said. We thought that to be powerful, we had to make others weak. The humans taught us that real strength comes from lifting others up, not pushing them down. Ambassador Yunji Shin, who had spent months negotiating with former Council species, nodded approvingly. The Thornak had been her most difficult challenge. Their culture was built around conquest and control, but even they had been changed by contact with human ideals. The breakthrough had come when human medical teams had helped the Thornak during a natural disaster. A solar flare had damaged their homeworld's atmosphere, threatening millions of lives. The Council had been too busy with other problems to send help quickly, but human ships had arrived within hours, bringing atmospheric processors and emergency supplies. They had worked alongside Thornak engineers for weeks, asking for nothing in return except the chance to save lives. That's when we understood, Admiral Vectar continued. Power used to help others is true strength. Power used to hurt others is just weakness disguised. President Ko smiled as she listened. This was what the new Federation would be built on. The idea that all beings could grow stronger by working together. The formal vote to create the Galactic Federation took place on the third day of the conference. Unlike the old Council's votes, this one was conducted in complete openness. Every species had an equal say, regardless of their military power or economic influence. The result was unanimous. 317 worlds voted to join the new Federation. Even more amazingly, they voted to make Earth the Federation capital and President Ko the first elected leader. We trust humans to lead because you have shown us how to lead with wisdom instead of force, explained Salnara, the Centauri representative. You could have conquered us after defeating the Council. Instead, you helped us become free. Admiral Changmin Bayek watched the celebration that followed with mixed emotions. He was proud of what humanity had accomplished, but he also thought about the cost. Thousands of beings had died in the fighting. Entire worlds had been damaged by the Council's final desperate attacks. But when he saw human and alien children playing together in the Federation's new capital city, he knew it had been worth it. These children would grow up in a galaxy where species worked together instead of fighting each other. Dr. Mina Lee had become the Federation's first Minister of Cultural Exchange. Her job was to help different species understand each other better. She had learned that diversity made the Federation stronger, not weaker. Each species brings something unique, she explained to a group of young diplomats. Rigelian patience, Centauri creativity, Thornak determination, human adaptability. Together, we can solve problems that none of us could handle alone. The old council building on Arcturus Prime had been turned into a museum. Visitors could learn about the mistakes of the past and why the Federation was determined not to repeat them. A plaque near the entrance read, "Those who use fear to control, others will eventually be destroyed by the fear they create." But not everyone from the old council had been punished. President Ko had insisted on a policy of forgiveness for those who were willing to change. Former council leaders who had committed crimes faced justice, but ordinary citizens were welcomed into the Federation if they embraced its values. This policy had been controversial, but it proved wise. Many former council worlds became the Federation's strongest supporters once they experienced freedom and democracy. The transformation of the galaxy had been so complete that it was hard to remember how things used to be. Trade flowed freely between worlds. Scientific knowledge was shared openly. Artists from different species collaborated on amazing new works. Most importantly, conflicts between species were now resolved through negotiation instead of warfare. The Federation had created courts where disputes could be settled fairly, and enforcement teams that could maintain peace without oppression. Captain Yuna Jang, now an admiral in the Federation fleet, often returned to New Busan to visit the architect ruins. The ancient technology continued to help the Federation grow and prosper. But more than that, it served as a reminder of what could be lost if beings stopped working together. The architects fell because they trusted too much, the ancient computer had told her. You have succeeded because you trust wisely. You verify, you question, but you also hope. On the 5th anniversary of Earth's expulsion from the Galactic Council, a special ceremony was held in New Geneva, the Federation capital. Representatives from all member worlds gathered to honor the moment that had changed everything. Former council leaders who had opposed humanity were invited to speak. Many declined, still bitter about their loss of power. But a few had the courage to admit their mistakes. We thought we were protecting the galaxy from human ambition, said Veltar, the former Valari counselor who had led the vote against Earth. We didn't realize that our own ambition was the real threat. Humans showed us a better way, even after we rejected them. President Ko, now in her second term as Federation leader, listened with grace. She bore no grudges against those who had opposed humanity. The Federation's success was the best revenge against their old enemies and the best reward for their new friends. As the ceremony ended, Ko looked out at the diverse crowd celebrating together. Humans stood next to beings who had once considered them primitive and dangerous. Former enemies shared meals and stories. Children of a dozen species played games that mixed traditions from many worlds. The Galactic Council had tried to shun Earth, calling humanity too dangerous to remain in civilized space. They had been terribly, wonderfully wrong. Humanity had been dangerous to injustice, to oppression, to the idea that some beings were worth more than others. And that danger had spread across the galaxy like a virus of hope, infecting every species it touched with dreams of freedom and equality. The galaxy was a better place because the Council had made their terrible mistake. In trying to get rid of humanity, they had accidentally unleashed the force that would transform everything for the better. And in the end, even they had to admit that the humans had been right all along. The galaxy belonged to everyone who lived in it, not just to those who claimed to rule it. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of the Galactic Federation had begun, and it would be an age of wonders that none of them could yet imagine.